Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invests. In today's video, I'm going to concentrate on a company called Nufarm. Now, I used to live in a suburb of Brisbane called Nufarm, but this is a completely different thing. In fact, if I bought property back when I lived in Nufarm, which was 2008, I'd probably be a multi-millionaire by now. But that's all in hindsight. Now, Nufarm, the company, is the sort of company I would never have thought about investing in when I started on my investing journey. They're not the type of company I think is a long-term hold, but I have transitioned my investing philosophies, strategies, and I am willing to put some money into these sort of companies for the short to medium term, particularly if the companies are experiencing some tailwinds. And right now, Nufarm is definitely experiencing those tailwinds. Now, I haven't done much research on this company. I do know they are an agricultural company. But the thing that drew me to Nufarm were the breakout in the share price we have seen over the past few months, and also some of the releases, profit upgrade, that sort of thing they have released. I think that was like the 2nd of February or something like that. So those two things drew me to Nufarm, and this is the way I invest now. In the past, I used to look for companies I liked, and then the chart, share price action was secondary to companies I picked to invest in. Now it's completely flipped. What I'm looking for now is, well, the first thing I look for is the chart, and I'm also looking for potential breakouts in the company's share price. And that way, I can sort of set aside the emotion, set aside what I think about the company. And if I do see a company's share price breaking out, that's when I'll delve a little bit deeper into what the company does, look into their financials, that sort of thing. That's exactly what I've done with Nufarm. I actually did not have any idea what this company does, apart from it is an agricultural company. So why did Nufarm enter or come upon to my watch list? I'm going to show you two charts. The first chart is a weekly chart going all the way back to 2016. And this is really showcases why a company like Nufarm is not a long-term sort of buy and hold company that I would not have traditionally bought into, because if you look at the past 5 or 6 years, the share price is not in a well-defined uptrend. The company itself is not growing, particularly if you look at their financial performance over this 6-year period. Fairly anemic growth. It is growing at a very slow rate, but there are periods of time, because it is an agricultural company, that does underperform, and that's when you might want to think about buying into this company. So over the past 6 years, the share price was actually higher between 2016 and about 2018 or 17. And then there was a well-developed downtrend that developed in the share price. And that the downtrend lasted for about 3 years, 2018, 2019, and into 2020. And the share price fell from a high of about $10 all the way to a low of $3.40. And that low was not reached during the COVID-19 meltdown in March of 2020. The share price did get down to about $3.80, but the low in this company's share price actually happened in around October, November of 2020 at $3.40. But that downtrend was broken at the start of 2021. And there was, and I'll show you this announcement from the company in February 2021, and it was a positive announcement from the company. And that really was the end of the share price downtrend in Nufarm. It looked like it went straight into an uptrend. I'll show you the daily chart in the next chart. It looks like there was a potential uptrend developing start of 2021. That failed. Share price went sideways. And now we've seen another potential breakout in the share price. And you can just see the weekly chart here. Over the past few months, particularly from the 2nd of February, I'll talk about the 2nd of February in two sites, the share price has increased by a fair bit from $4.40 to $6.20. And the current share price right now is at a 2-year high. That is one thing I'm looking for also. I'm at least looking for 6-year highs in the share price. For Nufarm, it's a 2-year high, and definitely the share price is on the move up. So let's have a look at the daily chart and we'll be able to see that potential shift in sentiment and the trend at the start of 2021 that failed, and we can be able to compare that to what we're seeing right now. So this is the daily chart for Nufarm, and I've started this chart just when that downtrend on the weekly chart came to an end, start of 2021. And you can see just above me here, if I can point to it, just above me here, it did look like the share price of Nufarm had moved into an uptrend. The share price was moving up, and there was some positive news. I'll talk about that first bit of news in February of last year that did cause the share price to rise. But in May of last year, this uptrend failed, and we didn't see any sort of uptick in the share price when we did see a pullback. In fact, that pullback kept on going down and down and down. In fact, there was a short-term downtrend from May to about September, October last year, which pushed the share price down from about $5.50 to $4.10. You could probably say that from about August last year to the start of this year, the share price was just going sideways, a little bit of volatility in there. But you can see those two moving averages, which is the 50-day and the 100-day moving average. They were just going sideways, and that's what you would expect, a little bit of volatility, but the bears and the bulls were undecided about the future of this company. And then the start of February, the company released an investor update. Share price rocketed up 20% on that day. Fairly positive sentiment from the management in terms of the future of this company. And that's why we have seen sentiment really shift in Nufarm right now. We saw a pullback, a nice healthy pullback on lowering volume for about a month after the 2nd of February. So a great time to buy in towards the start of March when the share price dipped down to about $5.25 as it tested the moving average. And then after that test of the moving average, we have seen the share price take off again, moving up from about $5.25 to a current share price of $6.20. So a definite shift in sentiment. Trend is looking pretty good for Nufarm at this point in time. Now, this does remind me of what happened last year. That uptrend or potential uptrend in the share price lasted for about 4 months. So we're going to have to see this momentum continue. But I do like the volume, particularly on the up days over the past few months. And I think that breakout in the share price on the 2nd of February, when the share price rose 20%, was the breakout for Nufarm. What does Nufarm do? Now, when you do technical analysis, and there are some technical traders who will buy and sell a company and have absolutely no idea what that company does. But I did want to delve a little bit deeper into Nufarm. What do they do? I knew they're an agricultural company, but they're into crop protection and seed technologies. In fact, they call themselves a global crop protection company and seed technologies. So when we talk about crop protection, we're talking about herbicides, insecticides, fungicides. They do a lot of research, develop new products in this area, and it is a global company. So they just mentioned here, our business is focused on 5 core crops across key geographies: Europe, Middle East and Africa, North America, and Asia Pacific. The crops they focus on are cereals, corn, soybean, pasture, turf, and ornamentals: trees, nuts, vines, and vegetables. So that's the core, one of the core things they do. They also seed technologies. Seed technologies combines our seed treatment portfolio and the new seed business. Our seed treatment products provide protection and treatment for damage caused by insects, fungus, and disease. So that's what they do. So a little bit different to what I thought they might have been doing, but they're all about crop protection, seed technologies, and really food over the next few decades. Well, food will always be a need for humanity. It's an essential need, in fact, and if population of the world keeps on increasing, what we'll have to do eventually is be able to get higher yield from our crops, and that's what Nufarm is hoping to do over the next 5 to 10 years. Now, there are some arguments against the possibility of population of the world increasing, and I think eventually the world will stop dozing rainforests, that sort of thing, like they do in Brazil. So the amount of land needed for agriculture will actually not need, but the amount of supply of agricultural land will actually come down. So being able to produce higher yielding crops will become essential. So I do think Nufarm are on the right trajectory. Now, on the 2nd of February, when they did release their investor update. If you do or are interested in this company a little bit, have a look at that investor update. So they are talking about the next 5 years. They do have an aim to increase revenue to $4 billion by 2026. If they are able to do that, if they are able to grow, I think there is potential for Nufarm to become a much bigger business than it is now in terms of valuation. So right now they have $3.2 billion of revenue. The market cap is actually less than $3 billion. So there is room for this company to grow in the future. Now, I just want to touch upon a couple of announcements, a couple of catalysts for driving the share price higher. The first one was in February 2021, the 25th of February, and this forced the share price up 8%. This was a revenue update, and they were just talking about how there was some positive momentum behind the business 1 year ago from when I'm doing this video in March 2022. Revenue up 17% for first 4 months of the new financial year. They changed financial years 1 year ago from the traditional one to one that ends, if I remember correctly, either in May or November. I actually know either March or September, or maybe it's May or November, something like that. They've changed financial years anyway. And they also mentioned, last bit in the overview here, positive momentum has continued into February 2021. It's one thing I do like to read or see in any sort of announcement released by a company is any mention of positiveness in the company. And so you can read that just through the words they use. And you might say, well, management will always be positive. Not necessarily so. We have seen quite a few companies release negative wording, negative sentiment within releases. So you do have to read how the sentiment of the overall management is at that point in time. And if you do see some positive sentiment by the management, that actually is a good sign, in my opinion. Now, to the announcement, that did cause a little bit of an excitement in the Australian market. So I've been talking about the 2nd of February. In fact, this announcement was released on the 3rd of February 2022, which was almost 2 months previous from when I'm doing this video. And the market really liked this announcement. Share price up 20%. This was an investor event, trading update, and an outlook. Very positive from the CEO, Greg Hunt, not the Greg Hunt, I believe. And he's the managing director and CEO of this company. So they gave a Q1 financial year 22 revenue update. Revenue for the first quarter of the financial year have increased 36% compared to the previous year, supported by favorable weather conditions, particularly in Australia, and the continuation of strong customer demand in all regions of Nufarm's crop protection and seed products. The one little negative thing was the company is experiencing upward pressure on costs due to raw material costs and global logistics challenges, which is being offset by the increased revenue. So a few tailwinds behind the company and a few headwinds, but most companies in the world are experiencing those headwinds right now. The one negative thing about one of the reasons why this company is experiencing tailwinds is the favorable weather conditions. As a meteorologist, it's really hard to forecast weather in the next week, let alone climate conditions and weather conditions over the next year, 2 years. We can look at climate indicators like the Nina, El Nino, the Indian dipole, that sort of thing, to get a higher probability of better weather conditions or worse weather conditions. But favorable weather conditions is not something you want to rely on in the future to continue growing. Some companies, what they do is have diversified areas. For instance, Costa Group, and not only in Australia, they've gone to Morocco and China. And if one geographical area is or has experienced unfavorable weather conditions, there's a higher chance the other two won't. So that's why you probably want to have a company that is in many companies, will have operations in many companies. Anyway, the outlook, which is very important for any sort of company, well, conditions or agricultural conditions and the outlook for soft commodity prices remain favorable. That is something else, is commodity prices of maybe wheat and that sort of thing. Nufarm expects earnings in this financial year to be heavily weighted for the first half of the financial year and is increasingly confident of revenue and earnings growth for the full financial year. So, no, I like that sort of wording, is increasingly confident. They don't have absolute expectations, but their confidence is increasing. And that's just because there's still a lot of uncertainty moving forward. But just increasingly confident is the sort of wording I do like to see from management. That's all I have for this video on Nufarm with the breakout in the share price, which really happened on the 3rd of February. This is a potential candidate for your portfolio. If you particularly are in the short to medium term, take advantage of this positive sentiment behind the company. You could definitely do that. Whether this is a long-term sort of company that could fit into your portfolio over the next 5 to 10 years, it's probably a little bit more debatable. Now, they do have those goals where they hope to have $4 billion of revenue by 2026. It'll be interesting to see if they can get to that point. They have a lot in the pipeline. Have a look at their investor event, their presentation, a lot in the pipeline over the next 5 years as well. And if those things in the pipeline are successful, I think this company will be a bigger company by 2026. If you have any opinion on this company, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Nufarm. So leave it in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I am not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.